This is Up Close, SABC News weekly program that profiles men and women making waves in their industries, African icons and rising stars. If they're in the news, then you know you can catch them right here. I'm Tshepang Motsekuoa, coming to you from the beautiful city of Bloemfontein in the Free State Province. Born in 1959, Elias Sekgobelo Magashule, fondly known as Ace, grew up in the small river town of Parys, north of Free State Province. It was while still a high school student that Ace became politicized as the 1976 student riots, which sparked in SOWETO, soon spilled to Parys, just an hour from the Johannesburg Township. In no time, the young Magashule held leadership positions in youth movements such as the Congress of South African Students. When he was recruited by the underground ANC movement, Ace took the chance and has never looked back. He holds a Bachelor of Arts degree from Fort Hare University and is today the premier of his home province, the Free State, where he remains very popular with students throughout the province. On this edition of Up Close, what makes Ace tick? Premier, thank you so much for making the time to meet us. I know you're very, very busy today. We saw what was going on downstairs. Perhaps let's start there. What's going on here today? Why are we not meeting you at your official offices?
Well, ANC prioritized education as number one. And obviously then the deployees of the ANC in government, because that is an ANC government, will try and do certain things. Here today, because government cannot afford to give thousands of students bursaries. Those matriculants who have passed, we are number one in the country. There are almost 9,000 who have matric and university exemption, bachelors, as you call it today. So many of them won't even have that bursary from government. And here as the ANC, in the morning I was meeting some business people to say, write your checks to various universities. How much can you afford to do and how much can you afford as business people? And I think they are contributing because from tax they will benefit in terms of tax.
Premier, this initiative, is it something that you've established here in the province, or is it something that the organization is doing throughout South Africa?
At a personal level, it has been my passion from in the 80s and beyond the 80s. In my own township, we have Career Guidance Center. I come from that background of being a teacher and passion in terms of education. So through our Career Guidance Center in my town, Parys, we were able to give student bursaries, quite a number. And when we assumed positions of government in '94, we continue doing that. In my own town, those who are working, we mobilize resources amongst ourselves. And as we came into government, we talked to MECs, we talking to business. We have funded a lot of students.
Tell us about your childhood in Parys.
I was at a school called, they now call it Limbete. Yeah, lower primary. We used to call it lower primary. And then there was a higher primary. From Dom A to Standard 6. We were the last class of Standard 6 in 1976. That was higher primary, what they call now Mabato. Then I went to a high school or secondary school that time called Pihellang High School. Now, Pihellang was from Standard 7 to Standard 8, JC, as we call it. There was no matric in Parys, 78. There wasn't matric, there wasn't 9 and 10. So I had to go to the VAL. I went to a state school, high school called State School in the VAL, in Zone 7, Sebokeng. And I completed my matric there.
So who would you say Ace Magashule was back then? I mean, did you used to get into a lot of trouble?
Well, we just enjoyed going to school. Corporal punishment was serious during those days.
Yes.
That's how we grew up.
So did you used to get into a lot of trouble?
Yeah, we were always in trouble. You know, as young boys, you try all little funny things. You try cigarette,
Yes.
and then you are punished for that. And parents don't know that you are trying to smoke. And but I think I've tried cigarette once, and I was punished, and that was the end of that. My parents didn't know. I grew up with a mother, no father. My father passed on when I was 3 years old. So I grew up, and the 70s, 76, 77, that's when I started joining boxing. There was a boxing team called Parys Power Punch, Schoolboy Mutle, Blue Jaguar, Masapo.
Oh, so you can throw a good punch.
Yeah, no, I was a good puncher.
Okay.
From boxing, I was also a soccer player, Parys Small Rangers. I used to play soccer with the likes of KK Nanana Lenzwane Swallows. From Parys Small Rangers, we are playing with Shamrock Flowers, the then Real Hearts Hungry Lions from Valcom, Sasolbeck Kaileys. And then from Small Rangers, I switched on to, we opened a new team where we called ourselves the best. Then we call it Parys All Champs.
Okay.
Yeah. But because of influence of COSAS, when I was doing matric, I was doing maths and science. And in June, I decided that no, because I was in maths and science, I was standard 8, I was in class A. And those who were doing class DE, during those times, we were told that no, those who are in A and B are very intelligent, are the best. But in June, I decided I want to study history. My teachers tried to discourage me, but I went for history right in June when I was doing standard 8. And from there, because I was more interested and influenced by the French Revolution, you know, to arms, before it's too late. Yeah. And that's when I became more active in politics. That's when we started mobilizing ourselves. I was down at that level where Parys African Student Association has actually influenced us, influenced by SOWETO, riots throughout the country. And between 76 and 79, there were a lot of military activities. Those underground structures of MK then approached us during that time. And that's when in 78, 79, we established an organization called Tumaule Student Organization. The founder was Fezile Dabi.
Okay, we're going to leave our conversation here for now and take a quick break. You're watching Up Close on SABC News. Remember, we always appreciate your comments and suggestions. Our email address is upclose@sabc.co.za. Our Twitter handles @upclosesabc. We'll see you just now. 1976, the student riots. I mean, where does the riots locate you in the story, in your own personal story?
Well, that's when we became more politicized. But you know, in politics, you move from mobilization into organization. You become just, there is a march, you just join the march, people are marching. As a young man, we just banned the school. In 76. You can try and ask me reasons. I know we are fighting Afrikaans, but as I say, as young people, we become mobilized in that particular fashion. And once we are mobilized, those who are leaders are looking at that event, that so-and-so is active, and out of this mobilized people or mobilization, they will move you into an organization. And there were great giants like leaders like Fezile Dabi. That's why that whole district is known as Fezile Dabi district. From Kroonstad, Parys, Frankfurt, Fijohnskroon, all those 13 towns in the northern part of the Free State are known as Fezile Dabi district. Fezile Dabi was one of the greatest guys. He was once a referee for NPSL. So those were seniors, but very influential because they were at least more politicized during that time.
Then at which point does the ideology of the movement start to resonate with you and you decide to start taking your participation, in the movement very seriously?
As we were then mobilized, we moved from that mobilization to the period of Parys African Students Association. Those were seniors to us, Fezile Dabi, Listas Kosan, and many others were seniors, and they formed Parys African Student Association in 75. So they influenced us. And with us then we moved on, and 79 when COSAS was established, we became part of the founders of COSAS in the Free State. And we are part of the country. We knew people like the first president of COSAS, Ephraim Makhali, from the then Northern Transvaal. The comrade is late now. That was the beginning of the mid-70s. That was the beginning of our mobilization into the organization.
So what was life like for a young man during those times?
Yeah, it was not easy. But what we were influenced by conditions. A lot of our students and a lot of people who are very popular today were leaders, whether in soccer, whether in... They came and studied in the Free State. They were based in Kwakwa because parents from Gauteng, because of the SOWETO riots, they will say, no, go and study in the Free State, go and study in Kwakwa. Kwakwa was a homeland. So parents were sending their children to homelands. A lot of people went to Makabelane High School. All people known generally in South Africa will come from those schools in Kwakwa boarding schools. And that's where we all went. I went to the Vaal, and I was lucky to continue my studies there. And in that period, you remember Parys started July 15. The riot started against black local authorities. So these historians, when they write the stories, they don't say July 15 Parys, they say September 3, the Vaal. It started in Parys and it went to the Vaal. From the Vaal it went to Cradock and the rest of the country then. That was 1984, July 15.
Premier, I'd like to move you on now to the next phase of your life. I mean, you were a young student leader known in a smaller community. Now, when you were a young political leader, what were some of the challenges that you started to face?
Well, the challenges those days, it was death. You were risking your life by becoming active in politics. And I remember young women were not easily accepting us because they will say, you are going to be arrested, man, and then you are my boyfriend, and what's going to happen? So we lost a lot of girlfriends during those days. We did not have our lives. We had always be on the run, mobilize people. So we mobilized in the 80s. We mobilized for COSAT. When COSAT was established, we were organizers without being workers. We were unemployed workers. And in 1985, during those days, we were the organizers of workers in the Free State.
Yeah, okay, so you're contrasting, leadership pre-94, but I want to know about the challenges post-94, when you are now a young political leader within a movement that's no longer illegal or underground.
I remember the first salary. We went to the legislature wearing tracksuits, and they gave us the salary. And look, I was the chairman of the ANC in 92, 93. So 94 when he came in, I was only getting 2,000 rand.
Yeah.
Now they gave me, I can't remember, 22,000.
Sure.
We wanted to return the money. All of us were wearing tracksuit. I still have some photos of that small tracksuit. Now we had to change and go and buy a suit.
Yes.
Yeah, then they paid me immediately, first day. I said, no, no, we are so rich, man. Some of the people who we are studying with, we have worked with, we have stayed together with some of our friends who are not very that much successful in life. It always comes first. It comes to my mind. And if you go to the street where I stay, in my township, I still stay in the township. Whenever I do something, if I had to build a wall, I will build a wall for the whole street, because there are only 7 houses this side and 7 houses this side. And I will ask them, can you contribute whatever you contribute? From there, I will contribute, and we do the palisade for the entire street. So if you go to 428 Magashule Street in Parys and look at that street, 14 houses, the whole street is fine. My neighbor must be my neighbor. I can't eat and the neighbor's children don't have anything. So I will first start with my neighbors. That's how I think I'm succeeding. And from there, my friends, I've got friends who I have been with at school, matric. Some of them are still unemployed. I'll go to them and encourage them to do something.
Well, after the break, we wrap up our conversation with Premier Elias Magashule. Remember, you can share your comments and suggestions with us. Our email address, upclose@sabc.co.za, and our Twitter handle @upclosesabc. We'll see you just now.
Well, I enjoy assisting people. That's my passion. I enjoy working with them. I don't like high politics. I believe I can make more contribution if I work on the ground. I've argued for so many times that I will even feel more comfortable if I'm mayor. I'll feel more comfortable because that makes me closer to. But the organization in the province, they've been saying, no, please assist the province, not your locals, because then fewer people are going to benefit from our strong points and our whatever we may actually change, do it better and all that. And I always enjoy working with people. That's why when you come here, I'm doing it myself. I'm not sending somebody. Because I grew from that background. I come from that background where I grew up from poverty. So my passion is still those people who stay in squalor areas, because that's where I come from. I still enjoy staying in the township.
Premier, what would you say to young African people out there, in the community that we're broadcasting to, who aspire to get involved in politics? What would you say are some of the things that they should look out for, and also how do they get that career right?
Well, I've traveled Africa. When I left the country, I left through Swaziland. So I know Swaziland, I know Zimbabwe, I know Zambia, I know Angola, I know Tanzania. I have seen Africa, and I see the potential of Africa. But I think what made us to succeed is patience. If you are patient, if you are positive, if you have respect, you might be militant, but militancy without respect misleads all the time. So I come from a simple, humble background, and I've realized that humility can take you very far. I realized that if you work together with people, we can do a lot of things. I've realized that Africa has potential. It's just that at times we fight over things which we don't know. And I've realized the only thing which is the treasure of any person and any young person and individual is education. If people can have patience to study, not to go for work and tenders and want to be rich overnight, we have to sweat for whatever we get. For you to become a rich person tomorrow, a better person tomorrow, without education throughout the world now, I think my word to young people is that they must go to school. For now, I'm more interested in postgraduates. I've said to all postgraduates in the Free State who don't have money, I'm there. They can come to me. I will definitely find money for them. I'll go to business. I do at times now and then take money out of, I wouldn't mind to spend my salary for this month to take one young student who have studied microbiology or genetics, skills, to go for his PhD, to go for his or her master's. My passion is education because I come from that background and I've realized where education could place me. And that's why even ourselves as leaders, we have to read a lot. We have to mix our work with a lot of reading. We have to know what is happening throughout the world so that we copy what is happening somewhere which is happening far better than in South Africa. But I can tell you with my experience of Europe and Africa, I've traveled, I'm happy. And I'm happy I rub shoulders with the likes of Chris Hani, Winnie Mandela, Jacob Zuma, even in the underground. And I think Peter Mokaba, Dickin Mate, and Gonwe, Murphy Gonwe, Fort Kalata, 85, before those four were actually killed. And that's how we learned. And we learned from Ephraim Nkwe from Soweto, one of the best commissars. And I brought almost a lot of comrades from the Free State, Figile Balola, Mohai, Tate Mahwe, and many others. And others were my students.
Well, that's how we wrap up today's episode of Up Close. Remember, you can catch us same time on DSTV channel 404, and you can share your suggestions or comments with us. Our email address, upclose@sabc.co.za, our Twitter handle @upclosesabc, or mine @Tshepang Motsekuoa. Till next time, bye-bye.